Hi, my name is Cherie, and I just want to jump on and make this quick video to share about why I started on a manifestation journey. Before, participating in this practice, I knew very little about manifestation. I'd heard the word come up in various conversations, wasn't completely certain what it meant, what it entailed, but I was definitely intrigued. I had really no understanding of how the process worked, and I'm a person of faith, so I wasn't certain if manifestation was the same as prayer or if there was any difference. But I know one thing was that I observed in my own life was that there was a stark difference in what I materialized in my life and what other people materialized in their life. And I noticed that I really had a different point of view, specifically around optimism or the lack thereof. And I thought maybe that had something to do with, what was materializing in my life. So I was definitely interested in exploring about it. So, just to give you a little bit of background on my personal history, like I've been doing transformational work and personal development for like the last 6 years. I first started with the Landmark Forum. I did the Landmark Forum, their advanced course, their self-expression leadership program, tons of seminars, the wisdom course. So I was really kind of steeped in the world of working through transformation and really just to improve the quality of my life. I also was in a year-long coaching program, as well as got a certification to be a mindset coach. So I knew I was pretty steeped in the world of like transformation and personal development. And when I was in my coaching program, just as we were finishing up for that year, I was introduced to what they call fourth dimension technology. This is something that Neville Goddard, if you go on YouTube, you'll see tons of videos about his fourth dimension technology, and was really getting into the world of how can I manifest very specific things that I wanted in my life. I also was introduced to Joe Dispenza in terms of a lot of his meditations. You can find them on YouTube. I purchased some of his meditations. And there was also another gentleman on YouTube by the name of Joseph Ally. He had some really solid information about manifestation and was very educational on the process. And although I loved all that information that I received online about Neville Goddard, Joe Dispenza, Joseph Ally, none of it was really a good fit for me. And after a few months, I kind of fell off the practice because I just really didn't notice really anything changing in my life. Now, fast forward probably another year. So I would say last March of 2023, I was driving in my car looking for different podcasts to listen to, and I came across a podcast called Expanded, and it was a company called To Be Magnetic. I'm going to say this correctly. To Be Magnetic is a company, and their founder was Lacy Phillips, and she was a manifestation expert. So I began to listen to tons of episodes that she would interview different people, different experts, talking about the subject of manifestation. So I really, really liked her process because it talked about really healing your inner child and outing your shadow. So those are two concepts that were very new to me. And I was like, I want to hear more. So if you're not familiar with the concept of inner child is like who you were between ages of 1 to 7 or 1 to 14. Everything that you were exposed to, like say for instance in your home environment, through your culture, through your community, all of that experience imprinted certain things on you. And that became sort of like the belief system that you take out into adulthood. And then your shadow is the aspects of yourself where you were shamed or judged or rejected. And then you would cast those particular aspects of your personality into your shadow. A good example of that would be, say for instance, that you had parents who were like attorneys and they expected you to be an attorney. but your natural inclination was to be an artist and be creative. And your parents were like, no way, you're going to be a lawyer. If you don't stop drawing or doing XYZ, we're never going to pay for art school. So as a child and somebody who's young, you realize you need your parents' love and approval in order to survive. So the aspects of yourself that you don't get approval from, either from your family or your community or your culture, you throw those items into your shadow because you're not going to get loved for, having those aspects of yourself shine. So when I thought back to my own childhood, it was quite interesting because I am the fifth child of my parents. So my parents had been married, good grief, by the time I was born, at least 20 years. And unfortunately, when I was born, this was during a time when my parents' marriage was in trouble. So the environment in our house left a lot to be desired, needless to say. If any of you out there have ever been in that dynamic, in that kind of household. So there were a lot of things that were happening that I got exposed to that really had a lasting impression on me, and I internalized it. Specifically, I had a caregiver who had a very volatile personality. You weren't quite certain if you talked to them how they would respond. And then I had another caregiver who was very much steeped in their victimhood. So, needless to say, I didn't have a lot of emotional and mental support growing up. And a child who was very young, in the absence of that support from their family, they began to make up stories about themselves. And kind of one of the stories that I made up, just as an example, is like, I don't matter. Nobody sees me. Nobody hears me. And I carried that story with me throughout my life. Now, the reason why that's so important is because those sort of limiting beliefs that we create about ourselves based upon our childhood experiences, we go into our life, our young adulthood, our mature adulthood, broadcasting that signal out like a radio station. So if you think about when you broadcast something, it attracts certain things. And so, if you think about people who have repetitive sort of relationships, maybe they're with an abuser, maybe they're with a narcissist, you're broadcasting a message that attracts those kind of people who may prey on you. And vice versa is true. If you're broadcasting, say, for instance, high self-worth, you're going to attract very great people who care about you, who love you. And so that's why I was really drawn to the To Be Magnetic process of manifestation, because it was all about neural reprogramming and reparenting yourself, which is essentially going back to those childhood memories that are oftentimes very painful and reparenting and reprogramming yourself so that you heal that particular wound. So that was the journey that I have been on for the last, I would say, almost year. So it'll be March of this year will be 1 year in their sort of pathway program that I signed up for. So if you want to find out more about my journey and some of the things I've manifested along the way, keep following me. I will be posting subsequent videos. Also, I'm going to drop a link in the description to the program that I signed up for. You may be interested in taking a look at that for yourself if this conversation has piqued your interest. And also hopping on however you get your podcast. The podcast specifically is called Expanded. So check it out. Looking forward to taking you along on my journey. Have a great day.